You might be tempted to label him as the new Messi, but deep down, you'd know that's not quite true. At 17, Messi was a carefully polished gem, eased into the spotlight with limited minutes and surrounded by legends. Lamine, at 17, is already the main man in a rebuilding team, playing like he's 28, deciding big games, and ignoring any sense of limits or development phases. And what makes it even more fascinating is this. Even after reaching such an insane level of influence, he still couldn't take his team to the Champions League final. Not because he played badly, quite the opposite, actually. In the first leg of the semi-final against Inter Milan, he tore apart one of the most solid defenses in Europe. He delivered a surgical assist and scored a goal that sent the stadium wild.
It's been brilliant so far tonight, the 17-year-old. This is brilliant from Lamine Yamal. Oh, it's one of the great Champions League goals on his 100th game for Barcelona.
But Inter knew exactly what they were dealing with, and in the return leg, they came armed with a tactical master plan to neutralize the kid who looked untouchable. In this video, you'll see how he completely skipped the traditional development steps, how he's forced Barcelona to reshape tactically around him, and why, even with jaw-dropping stats, what he's doing can't really be measured by numbers. Because maybe, just maybe, modern football isn't ready for what he represents. But if you really want to understand how this kid reached such a level, how he earned this kind of technical respect, you've got to go back with me to the start of 2025. On paper, Lamine Yamal was still a teenager, but in reality, Barcelona already treated him like a fully established star, and what stands out isn't just the talent or the numbers, it's the way the entire team operates around him. At just 17, he's already changing the tactical behavior of his teammates. Fullbacks hold their runs when he's wide. Midfielders look for him as the first option. Even Lewandowski, the veteran striker, adjusts his attacking movement to match Yamal's passing rhythm. That's not normal. And it has nothing to do with age. It's about technical respect. Take the La Liga win over Atletico Madrid. The team looked nervous, making basic errors, but Yamal played like it was preseason, passing, moving, dropping deep to pick up the ball, dictating the tempo. When he scored the equalizer in the 92nd minute, that was just the visible part. What came before was control, organization, spatial awareness. Against Real Madrid in the Copa del Rey, he took it to another level. No rush, no showing off. He played with patience, waited for the right moment, and when the ball came, he did the simple things with the kind of elegance veterans usually take years to learn. He kept the play alive, kept possession, stayed calm, and that raises a question no one seems ready to ask. Is age still a valid metric for measuring a player's readiness? Because if Lamine Yamal were 27, we'd be calling him the team's brain, the technical reference, a proper maestro. But since he's 17, the media keeps calling him a prospect. Maybe it's time we change the way we talk about players like him, because what he's doing demands a new category. Lamine Yamal isn't just developing well, he's playing at a level that exposes a real issue in modern football. The amount of experienced players who lack this level of vision, this control, this influence. And maybe that's the most frightening part. In 2025, Lamine Yamal finished the season with 19 assists across La Liga, the Champions League, and the Copa del Rey. That alone would place him among the best playmakers in Europe. But here's the thing, he's not a central midfielder. He's not a classic number 10. He plays wide, hugging the touchline, receiving the ball under triple marking, and still finds ways to turn those situations into goals. That's the kind of stat that gets more terrifying once you understand where it's coming from. Look at his heat maps. The pattern is clear, constant movement, receiving out wide, cutting inside, creating from those pockets. And it's not just about assists. He also finished the season among the top 5 players in Europe for key passes. That means that even when he's not directly assisting, he's breaking defensive lines and setting up teammates with clear chances. Still got doubts about consistency? He started 46 of the 52 matches in the season. No other under-18 player in any top European league had that level of involvement. Not Mbappe, not Musiala, not Bellingham, no one. And when it comes to stats, they show the volume, but not the weight of each play. They tell you how many assists he got, but not that half of them came in clutch moments, with the team chasing the game, against deep blocks, under real pressure. They show the successful dribbles, but not how those dribbles opened up spaces that changed entire matches. Yamal doesn't play for stats. He plays for understanding, for impact. And that's why so many people still underestimate what he's doing. In a season of rebuilding at Barcelona, the Champions League wasn't a bonus. It was the main stage. And Lamine Yamal understood that better than anyone. In the round of 16 against Benfica, he didn't just show up, he decided the tie. A goal and an assist in the second leg, when Barca were facing real elimination danger. The assist was surgical. The finish for his goal was pure class. And with that, he became the youngest player in Champions League history to score and assist in a knockout game. In the quarterfinals against PSG, the battle with Nuno Mendes got personal. Yamal tormented the left flank, created chances, ran the show, and bagged another assist. At 17, he had the most successful dribbles in the tie, and even though the pitch had Mbappe, it felt like Yamal was the one carrying the creative burden. In the semi-final against Inter, he ran the game, but hold on, we'll come back to that moment later, because that's when everything truly changed. By the end of the Champions League campaign, Yamal had 13 appearances, 5 goals, 4 assists, 54 shots in the season, more goal contributions than any other U20 player in the tournament. But the numbers still don't tell the full story. In the group stage against Dortmund, he didn't score, but he created 2 of the biggest chances of the match. Against Porto, he started at 16 years and 83 days old, the youngest ever in the competition. And the records just kept falling. At 17 years and 291 days, he became the youngest player to ever feature in a semi-final. On the same night, he reached 100 professional appearances. No European player has ever come this far, this fast, and that's why he's now in the running for the Ballon d'Or. Not because the media wants to create hype, but because, on the pitch, he delivered more than most of the favorites. Dembélé had his most explosive season at PSG, but in decisive moments, under pressure, against elite opposition, Yamal never went missing. The 2024-25 Champions League didn't reveal a promising youngster. It revealed a problem. How do you deal with a player this young, who's already performing like he's at his peak? The truth is, football still doesn't know. Comparisons will always come. It's almost inevitable. When a left-footed winger starts performing magic on the right side of the pitch, the Messi references come automatically. When that same player adds flair, boldness, and charisma, suddenly people bring up Neymar. And if he's deciding Champions League knockouts before turning 18, Mbappe's name crashes the conversation uninvited. But the issue isn't comparing. The problem is using those comparisons as a limit. Take Messi, for example. He made his first-team debut in 2004, but it wasn't until 2006 that he became a guaranteed starter. In those early years, he was carefully eased in, surrounded by legends like Ronaldinho and Deco. Even the club was scared of rushing things. With Neymar, it was a different route. He exploded at Santos, charming Brazil, but that was still a local stage. As brilliant as he was, his talent wasn't tested at the highest European level until he was 21. Mbappe? Yes, he broke through early, but his Champions League explosion in 2017 with Monaco came in a team built around his pace and freedom. It was a tailor-made setup. Lamine Yamal didn't get any of that. At 17, he's already the technical and tactical leader of a rebuilding Barcelona. He's not being slowly integrated, he's leading. And that's not an exaggeration, it's fact. If we go to the numbers, cold, objective numbers, the comparison actually starts to lose meaning. In their first 100 professional matches, Messi had 21 assists, Neymar had 26. Yamal already has 33, despite being the youngest of the three. If you look just at the Champions League, the impact is even more ridiculous. He's the youngest player in history to play a semi-final, score and assist in the same knockout match, reach 20 Champions League appearances. And he didn't do it as a role player, he did it as the main man. These records don't just put him among the best of his generation, they reveal a new standard of evaluation that football still isn't ready for. Because historically, football was never designed to handle someone who rises this fast, this young, without falling off track. The media still calls him a prospect. His age still puts a narrative filter over what we're actually witnessing. But Yamal isn't repeating Messi's story. He's not following Neymar's path. He's not copying Mbappe's rise. He's writing a brand new one at a pace football isn't prepared to follow. And maybe the most honest thing to say is this: the comparisons are too small now. Because what he's doing, the way he's doing it, at the age he is, has never been done before. He's the purest product of something that, for a long time, felt lost. Barcelona returning to its essence. For years, Barcelona was a club with a plan, a philosophy, a distinct identity that started in La Masia and exploded at the Camp Nou. A club that didn't buy stars, it built them. One that didn't adapt to the market, it forced the market to adapt to it. But that identity crumbled when the club traded conviction for desperation. The departures of Neymar, Suarez, and Messi didn't just leave a technical void, they caused a collapse in identity. In came the big money signings: Coutinho, Griezmann, Dembélé, talented players sure, but disconnected from Barca's DNA. They were quick fixes for a crisis that demanded patience. And the result? Dysfunctional teams, generic football, vanishing trophies. That's the backdrop that makes Lamine Yamal's rise so symbolic, because he's not just a talented academy product. He's the mirror of a club starting to believe in itself again. The new board stopped chasing ready-made answers. Under Hansi Flick, the team refocused on structure, intensity, and tactical clarity. And around Yamal, a new core was born. Gavi, Kubarsi, Fermin, Balde, all homegrown, all shaped by the same philosophy. More than just a technical revival, it's an ideological one. Yamal isn't playing well despite being from the academy. He's playing well because he's from the academy. He sees the game the way Barcelona demands, occupying spaces, drawing defenders, making the right decision without needing tricks to get noticed. And most importantly, he understands that playing beautifully isn't a luxury. It's a responsibility. That's always been Barca's way. Cruyff taught it. Guardiola perfected it. And now Yamal is carrying the torch before even becoming an adult. And maybe that's exactly why he makes people outside Catalonia uncomfortable. If Barcelona feels different now, lighter, more connected to its roots, it's not just because of the youngsters. It's also because around Yamal, an attack has formed that echoes the golden eras of the past. Rafinha, Lewandowski, Yamal. At first glance, it might seem like a trio built out of necessity. But when things click, it's hard not to feel the nostalgia. The formula is back. A fiery Brazilian winger, a killer center forward, and a genius left footer raised at La Masia. It's an old recipe, but it still works. That's how it was in 2006 with Ronaldinho, Eto'o, and young Messi. That's how it was with the MSN. And now it's back. New faces. Same essence. Rafinha might not have Neymar's spotlight, but he delivers tactically. He tracks back, attacks space, and stretches the pitch so the magic can happen on the other side. Lewandowski is the anchor. Less explosive now, but still the one who holds defenders, attracts attention, and creates openings for the kid to shine. And Yamal is the spark, the one who shifts gears, who unbalances everything, who turns a predictable attack into something wild and unpredictable. He is what Ronaldinho was, what Messi was, what every great Barcelona trio has always needed, the one who carries magic in his touch. But unlike those previous versions, this new trio is still being built. No Champions League trophies yet. No historic legacy carved in stone, but the foundation is there. The formula works, and yet, as promising as this trio may be, it's still a work in progress. And when the season reached its most decisive moment, the pressure fell on the youngest player on the pitch, Yamal couldn't take Barcelona to the final, and now we're going to understand, in detail, exactly why. The semi-final against Inter Milan was the biggest test of his career so far, and maybe the most symbolic moment of the entire season. In the first leg, Barca were already 2-0 down by halftime. Inter were in control, the fans were getting anxious, until the ball reached Yamal's feet. That's when everything changed. At just 17 years and 291 days old, he picked up the ball outside the box, dribbled past two defenders, and curled a shot into the corner. No chance for Summer, a historic goal, the youngest player ever to score in a Champions League semi-final. And he didn't stop there. He humiliated Dimarco again, nearly scored a second, and then delivered the assist for the equalizer. With a goal, an assist, and a string of jaw-dropping plays, he didn't just rescue Barcelona, he reignited the tie. The European press went wild. Yamal's semi-final will be remembered for decades, wrote The Guardian. He dominated one of Europe's strongest defenses, said L'Equipe. But the Champions League isn't decided in 90 minutes. In the second leg in Milan, Inter came in with a surgical plan: stop Yamal at all costs. And manager Simone Inzaghi made it clear in the pre-match press conference.
Grandissimo talento, alla sua età, 17 anni, è veramente pericolosissimo. Quando ha la palla, tutta la squadra nei momenti difficili gli danno la palla, e quello che mi ha impressionato di più di lui è la velocità di pensiero che ha. Insomma, sarà un osservato speciale come tantissimi altri giocatori del Barcellona.
Dimarco and Carlos Augusto stayed tight on him the entire time. Pavard, even returning from injury, was added to the mix. The mission was obvious. Don't let him dictate the game. And even though Yamal kept trying, drifting inside, pulling defenders out of position, Inter managed to shut down Barcelona's rhythm. The match ended 4-3 to Inter. Despite scoring 3 away goals, Barca were knocked out, 7-6 on aggregate, in one of the most chaotic semi-finals in recent memory. Yamal didn't appear on the score sheet that night, but anyone who watched knows Inter's entire plan existed because of him. The frustration on his face at the final whistle wasn't from playing badly. It was the look of someone who gave everything, and still, it wasn't enough. And that's the tension that lingers. If even this wasn't enough, what more will this kid have to do? After such an insane season on an individual level, a new question starts to surface. Lamine Yamal's future might not lie with Barcelona. At this age, his entire career is still ahead of him, and when a talent this young breaks record after record, Europe starts to stir. The giants begin to circle. They wait for the right moment and open the vault, because players like him don't show up every year, and when they do, they become market obsessions. Yamal is still protected by contract, and Barcelona insists he'll be the cornerstone of the next decade. But in football, promises don't block billion-euro bids. Barca has already lived through this with Figo, with Neymar, with Messi. And the strangest part, even after everything he's done, it's hard to know what his ceiling is. He can still evolve physically, tactically, mentally. He could change positions, adapt to different styles, wear new shirts. What will Yamal be at 20? At 23? The truth is, football still isn't ready for what he's about to become.